Hey, how's it going? Fall's coming. Starting to feel a little more like deer season every day. It's usually this time of year I dig out my hunting gear, take a look at stuff, go over it. Maybe I need to upgrade some things. Maybe I want to get some new stuff. But as deer hunters, all the gear that we have, all the gear that we use, there's usually a few things that we find that are the most essential. And I would say beside my gun, wool is by far the most essential piece of gear that I use. So I want to talk about wool, what types of wool there are, the properties of wool that make it a deer hunter's dream, what makes a piece of wool quality, and lastly, the wool that I prefer and why it is that I use what I use. So wool essentially is a proteinaceous fiber, so it's a fiber made of protein that's derived from different animals, sheep, goats, rabbits. So there's all kinds of types of wool, and it's basically categorized in two major ways: how it's obtained and the animal that the wool comes from. So the two big categories are virgin wool versus regular wool. So virgin wool on its own can be one of two things. It's the first time that a sheep, or in this case a lamb, has been sheared, or it can simply refer to the fact that the wool has never been processed, or the wool product that's claiming to be virgin wool is not being used as recycled wool or other products that have been previously made from various wool fabrics. If it's not virgin wool, it just says wool, it's potentially a product that's made from recycled wool. So other pieces of wool clothing or wool fabric that has just been repurposed into a new piece of wool clothing. So wool is naturally water repellent. The fiber's scaly exterior sheds water well, sheds debris, doesn't stain that easily. The interior has great moisture absorbency. So yes, at the same time, it sheds water, and if the shedding of the water becomes overwhelmed, it'll absorb water. So wool can absorb anywhere from 30 to 35% of its weight in water. So it wicks moisture away from the body, it allows it to evaporate. So basically you get a twofold advantage. So if you're really working up a sweat, it'll suck that moisture away from the skin and then allow it to evaporate, leaving you feeling dry. If you get soaked, if it's raining out really hard, it'll shed the water, those fibers will shed the water to a point. Once they become overwhelmed, they'll start to absorb the water and pull it away from the skin, and again, leaves you feeling dry. Once you're in a dry area, those fibers will continuously wick the moisture away from the skin. And it does it in such a way that it's not too fast. If it pulled the water away too fast, it would leave your skin feeling cool. It would have a cooling effect. So just like we sweat on a hot summer day, the purpose of sweating is basically as a cooling system, a cooling mechanism for our body to help release some of the heat, some of the energy. Wool wicks moisture at just the right speed, so it'll dry you out, leave you feeling dry, but at the same time will not cool you down at the same time. So you'll feel dry and warm all at the same time. So it naturally regulates your temperature. But what makes a quality piece of wool? What makes a good wool product to deer hunt with? And not all wool's created equal. So we mentioned virgin wool versus just regular wool, which would basically be everything else. And virgin wool compared to any other wool product is more durable, it's stronger, less prone to lint, and less prone to pilling. So the first thing that I try to look for when I'm buying a wool product is it has to be 100% virgin wool. So another thing I'll look for when I'm looking for a piece of wool clothing is the wool weight. It's basically how many ounces per square yard. So a lot of my clothing is 24 ounce, 26 ounce in that ballpark. I have some stuff that's lighter, 18 ounce, depending on what it is. If it's a wool vest, wool pants, wool jackets tend to be a little heavier. The wool weight, so that's the weight of the wool per square yard, so usually ounces per square yard, is determined by the thickness of the threads that's used and the density of the weave in the knit. I've bought some wool that, let's say if it's 24 ounce or 26 ounce, whatever it is, I might have a lot of wool in it, but I pick it up and I look at the knit or I look at the weave and I can see right through it. It's loosely knit, not well put together. So what is it about the wool that I use that I like so much, and why is it that I use what I use? Well, first of all, I'm not a shopper. I'm not one to buy things on a whim. I tend to buy things that have always worked well for me, that have consistently performed well, and I stick with it. If it's not broke, I don't fix it. I guess I have a lot of brand loyalty, you could say, until a company really disappoints me. Then I'll move on. I'll start looking for something else. Here's an example. There's a big Maine company that everyone's probably familiar with that I can remember years ago I used to buy a lot of wool from. Then one year I was like, oh, I need a new pair of wool pants. And I ordered a pair of wool pants and I got them and they're made in Turkey, and they were so poorly made. You could hold them right up and look right through into the light. I can remember that was it. I'll never buy another pair of wool pants from this company again. And it was such a disappointment. So I tend to find something that I like and stick with it. You know, wool's expensive, and I like to buy a nice quality piece of wool that's gonna last me a long time, that's gonna be passed down over generations, and that I'll get a lot of use out of. And I don't mind spending a little bit of money or a little bit of extra money if I know I'm gonna get a lot of years use out of it. And I've found that I've got some wool clothes. I have more than gotten my money's worth out of them. And I've been pretty happy with them. I wear wool base layers, so usually merino wool. I will say though, my legs, I will wear some Under Armour cold gear on my legs. They're compression base layers. I like compression base layers on my legs for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't feel like it's even there. It's super tight to my leg, so I don't even know that I have a base layer on. Two, it improves circulation, which will actually improve performance, helps oxygenate those large muscles in your legs, and will help keep you warm, just by the fact that it's improving circulation. Same thing goes for the socks. I wear a pair of lacrosse insulated boots, light pair of wool socks, and sometimes I wear a liner sock. But usually just a light wool sock in my boot is fine for me all day. Always wear a wool shirt. So like I'm wearing right now, this is a wool shirt. This is actually a Pendleton wool shirt. So it's a good quality wool shirt. So yeah, Pendleton's a good company. I have a lot of their stuff. A lot of Filson products. I believe Filson gets their wool from Pendleton. So it's good quality wool, nice tight weave. So for wool pants, back in the day, Johnson made a good pair of wool pants. Wool was quality. I never really cared for how Johnson's wool pants fit me. And I've since moved on to Filson wool pants. They're phenomenal. They are pricey. Love them. They're the field pants, I believe they are. They have the pockets in the side. They fit phenomenally well. Held up great. I think this particular pair, I've probably had 6 seasons or so. But yeah, it's a tight weave. Really good quality. Again, it's expensive, but I really feel that you get what you pay for. I've really enjoyed the Filson wool pants. Again, they fit great. Other than the price, if you can stomach the price of them, they're a good wool pant. My favorite wool pant for sure. So the wool jacket that I like to use, this is kind of interesting. I've got 2 actually. The first one I'll talk about is I've got a Filson double Mackinaw Cruiser jacket that I use on cold days. And actually I've hardly ever deer hunted in it because it's so warm. I believe this is 26 ounces. So it's got a cape that basically has so the wool's doubled up. You basically have 2 sleeves on the jacket. You know, wicked high quality. You look at a Filson jacket or a Filson vest, the weave is so tight on them. Such a high quality jacket. And again, they're pricey. If you can stomach the price of them, I believe it's something you basically could have for a lifetime. A lot of pocket space in these. No zipper on their Mackinaw jackets. They use a button. I use this wintertime. Ice fishing, I'll use it. If it's super cold out, because it's a warm jacket. I could not track a deer in this jacket. This would be something if I was going to sit for any amount of time, I would wear this. You know, wicked high quality jacket. Now, my favorite deer hunting jacket. I've had this jacket since I was 14. And I'm not superstitious, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. And this has been with me I've worn this jacket with every deer that I've shot. And this jacket has been through the ringer. And it's still holding together nice. I mean, you can start to see the threads a little bit, but in the armpits, nothing is worn through. There's no holes in it. And look, I've seen other people's jackets that they track with. There's some companies that are no longer in business. And, you know, man, people use them, you know, pretty hard, and they put a bunch of holes in them. This wool jacket is a Johnson wool jacket. I think it's the Johnson Cruiser jacket. Got it when I was 14. This thing has been soaked through so many times. It's been run through the woods so much, and it still fits me. It's still in good shape. It's amazing. Raspberry bushes are hard on jackets. It's held up phenomenally. So, you know, I've been impressed with some of Johnson's wool clothes. I'm not sure what their price points are right now. I think they're a little cheaper than Filson, but I mean, you're still gonna spend quite a bit of money. So yeah, this jacket has been with me on every deer that I've shot. And it's kind of special. And I'm not superstitious, but I'm just, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I will use this until it no longer fits me or it absolutely falls apart. And it's holding up good. So I guess time will tell. So another piece of wool that I'll wear, I usually more around camp, bird hunting, stuff like that. Or if it's really cold days, I got a wool vest. This is a Filson wool vest. I think this is 24 ounce. You know, and again, you look at it, it's wicked tight weave. I've seen vests from other companies, one Maine company in particular. I won't name any names. They're just, the quality's not there. My grandfather had the exact same vest, and my father still wears it to this day. But if I put mine next to my grandfather's, you can't tell a difference. It looks like it's brand new. It is in such good shape. And it's stuff like that that makes you go, man, you know, that's a quality piece of wool. That's a quality wool vest. And you know, hopefully, my kids will have this someday. And again, I know they're pricey. You know, if it's something that will last basically a lifetime, you know, it's well worth the money. So yeah, wool vest, I don't wear it every day when I'm deer hunting, but I do wear it. I wear it a lot at camp and wear it a lot bird hunting. And if it's a real cold day, I will throw this on. But very, very seldom when I'm tracking. So I'd have to say, so of all the wool clothes I got, I'd have to say Filson's probably my favorite. Johnson makes a good wool product. But yes, I know Filson's pricey. A lot of people may balk at the price of it, but I really think it's something that you can have for a lifetime. So next to my rifle, I would have to say wool is my most important piece of equipment. It really allows me to stay out in the woods all day long. It allows me to deal with the weather conditions. Plus it just evokes some memories of deer hunting. Anytime I see wool clothing, I think of deer hunting. It's a really important part of the hunting gear that I use, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. So just remember, not all wool's created equal. Try to buy something that's quality. And in my opinion, wool is the ultimate performance fabric. So until next time, get outside, it's good for the soul. See ya.